Hello, sports fans. Today's date is July 11th, and this is an episode of 5 Things to Know with Richie. Today I'm going to be talking about Chris Godwin, Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver, who in his third year last year out of Penn State had an absolute breakout season, having over 1,300 yards and 9 touchdowns in only 14 games played, as he was injured and missed the last 2 games of the season. So he could add even better numbers than 1,300 yards and 9 touchdowns. I really wanted him to get to 10 touchdowns because I'm a numbers person, so you see that double-digit 10 touchdowns and just looks so pretty compared to 9, you know? I don't know. I mean, that's just myself. But anyways, I digress. So Chris Godwin had an absolutely phenomenal season. He made the Pro Bowl. Like I said, had over 1,300 yards. So I'm going to be talking about 5 things that I think played into his breakout season, essentially. So, number one factor, I think a lot of people would agree with me on this, is the fact that Bruce Arians took over as head coach. Bruce Arians is a noted offensive guru. He won a Super Bowl with the Steelers the first time he had an offensive coordinator job. He ended up holding that job from 2007 to 2011, and he worked with Hines Ward for a number of these seasons. However, he wasn't working with a young, prime Hines Ward. The first season he worked with Hines Ward was already 31 years old, which is often seen as the start of a decline for a wide receiver. But Bruce Arians was kind of able to get Hines Ward to give a little stiff arm to Father Time right there. And in his age 31, 32, and 33 seasons, Hines Ward averaged 125 targets, 82 receptions, 980 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So that's pretty good production right there. Nearly 1,000 yards from a 31, 32, 33-year-old man that a lot of people thought would be on his decline. Bruce Arians said, no. We're still going to win some Super Bowls and do some good things here in the Steel City. He ended up kind of running out his welcome because sometimes he's a little bit over-aggressive, which seems kind of silly to me, but, you know, I don't know. The old football fans, you're like, why aren't we running the ball on 3rd and 1? Why'd we throw it deep to our receiver who had one-on-one coverage and easily could have scored a touchdown if there was just a little bit better pass instead of only getting 3 yards on the play? But I digress. This is a video for another time. This is a 5 things about Chris Godwin video. This isn't about Bruce Arians' complete offensive philosophy and everything like that. So anyways, like I said, I digress. Moving on, Bruce Arians, after he was the Steelers' offensive coordinator, was the Colts' offensive coordinator and also was the interim head coach in 2012 as Chuck Pagano was dealing with leukemia that season. And all he did that year as the offensive coordinator was give Reggie Wayne nearly 200 targets. He saw the ball 195 times. He caught 106 of those for 1,350 yards and 5 touchdowns. So that's great production out of Reggie Wayne there. And the year after, Bruce Arians was the head coach / offensive coordinator for the Colts. He took the head coach job with the Arizona Cardinals, where he was able to work with a receiver that some of you may know. His name is Larry Fitzgerald. He's pretty good at the football thing. He's slightly above average. But still, Larry Fitzgerald had already been in the league for a handful of seasons. He wasn't a spring chicken at this point by any stretch of the imagination. And all Bruce Arians did was get him to average 150 targets in the seasons Bruce Arians was there, 102 catches, 1,087 yards, and 8 touchdowns. So over 100 catches, nearly 1,100 yards, and 8 touchdowns a season. That's great production. That's absolutely phenomenal. And so that's, when you look at Bruce Arians' track record with some of these slot wide receivers, that's a big reason people were really stoked on Chris Godwin last year, especially when you combine that with the fact that Tampa Bay's offense in 2018, this is my second point, was not that bad. They're 12th in points, so top half of the league in points, and 3rd in yards, so top 10% in yards. So it's not like Bruce Arians had to totally start from the ground up, take everything down, start over. They have a good offense down there in Tampa Bay, so people were excited about this match. And then, furthermore, they have a bad defense. In 2018, Tampa Bay was 31st in points allowed, the second worst team in all of the NFL in points allowed, and 27th in yards. So 5th worst in all of NFL in yards. So they're bottom 5 in both yards and points. That's a recipe that means your offense is going to have to continuously play catch up and keep up and score more, outscore the other team. And that just means more points for your fantasy guys. So that's another reason people were really excited on Chris Godwin. So that's 3 of our 5 reasons so far. This next reason is just as important as the other ones I've talked about so far, and that's the fact that Adam Humphries and Deshaun Jackson both left in free agency, and Chris Godwin had been behind the depth chart. Both these guys on the depth chart. He was at times the 4th receiver for Tampa Bay in 2018. But these 2 players, Adam Humphries and Deshaun Jackson, were no longer going to be with the team in 2019, so he no longer had to compete with them for opportunity. And between the 2 of them, they saw 180 targets in 2018. So those 180 targets were now vacant and up for grabs. And obviously, fantasy analysts weren't expecting Chris Godwin to see all 180 of those targets because Chris Godwin himself had 95 targets in 2018. No one's going to get 275 targets in a season. I mean, I just said Reggie Wayne had 195 that one year. That's one of the most targeted seasons of all time. There's only a handful of guys that have over 200 targets in a season. So he wasn't going to get that. But even if he would have gotten a third of those 180 targets, 60, that's putting him at 155 targets. Man, if Chris Godwin gets 155 targets in a season, he's going to be lights out. So that brings us to our final reason, which is the fact that on his limited opportunity, he was a good player. In 2018, on less than 100 targets, on 95 targets, he had 850 yards and 7 touchdowns. So we're talking pushing close to 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. That's good. That's a good player. So hypothetically, if he sees, like I said, 60 more targets, if he would have gotten to 150, we're thinking, oh, this is a guy that can get to 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns, which is what I said he might have gone to if he wouldn't have gotten injured. So anyways, that's kind of the 5 reasons that Chris Godwin really broke out in 2019. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to be making more videos similar to this in the future, and I'm hoping to highlight some guys that could be Chris Godwin for this coming season, so we don't have to make all hindsight revisionist videos. We can hopefully help you guys find some guys that could be Chris Godwin for this coming season. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any feedback or anything like that, put it in the comments below, and I appreciate hearing from all of you. And I look forward to making more videos for you guys. So thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you guys soon.